Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And my feelings this week have all been about spring. And so therefore our quotes today are going to be about spring. Hi there, Jeannie. Are going to be about spring and all the joys that it brings, and the summer flowers, spring flowers and everything else. So I hope you enjoy that. And I want to start with one that says, our spring has come at last with soft laughter of April suns and shadow of April showers. And, it's just like there's something about it, right? It's something about the colors. There's something about the whole feeling of spring. If you're in the northern hemisphere, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's about fall. they're going into fall while we go into spring. So I hope that you have fun with some of these quotes. And I also wanted to talk about it because I think it's very relevant to our lives. Hi there, Charlotte. Very relevant to our lives. Hi, Jody. In terms of we go through the rain of life to get to this color of life, all right? And we've all been through thick and thin together. And for those of you who don't know, that's what Dear Mama Sal is all about. Hi there, Jonas. It's all about going through life together and helping each other go through the next step of whatever it is that we need to do. Oh, great. So Jonas is saying he's got big, exciting life updates. Oh, that sounds so exciting. Tell us, tell us, tell us. Also, I wanted to just let you know, for those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, you've got 69 days until summer. Don't let spring pass you by. Oh, Jonas is saying that he's quit his job and he's starting his own company. Doing what, Jonas? Hi there, Petra. Good to see you. Wow, you're going to be selling reusable bags. There you go. There's been a ban on plastic bags, yes. And I want to tell you that we've had it here in British Columbia, or in certainly I've noticed we've had it here for shopping, groceries and stuff for some time now, for over a year, I would think. And in a way, it's easier. And the funny thing is, hold on one second. Are you making bags like this, Jonas? I just want to know. The reason I say that is because I gave bags like this away to my buddies for Christmas, part of my Christmas stocking thing. And, I'm sure you've all seen them, but it's like a bag inside a bag. So you pull out an instant shopping bag, all right? And the funny thing is, I was talking to somebody who I gave one to, and I said to them, or rather they said to me, you have no idea how many times I've thanked you for that gift. So Jonah's saying, yes, many different types of bags, but more so we are focusing on the ones you would buy in the supermarket. Okay, so, but I want to tell you that this type of bag, easy to make, by the way. Are you making them yourself? I want to tell you something. It's just so useful. I have this one on my keychain, so I'm never without one. But I also have in my bag that I take with me, I have another couple in there, so I'm never out. Hold on a second. So the thing is this, Jonas, when you have you got your samples ready already? I'm ready already. The reason I'm saying is because I would love to promote them here on Dear Mama Sal, if you would like that. You're getting them made in India and shipped to us. Wow, your business partner's father owns a plant in India. We making them custom printed. Isn't that awesome? So they will be sold in supermarkets then, with the supermarket branding. Isn't that exciting? Well, Jonas, let me know so that I can help promote things for you, please. How many of you agree? No rain, no flowers. I really want to say that life is full of seasons, isn't it? One of the things I remember about my days as a speaker, I had one guy that suddenly out of the blue got asked to do a major speech in Hong Kong. And he contacted me and said, "Can you help me write a speech?" And I said, "Sure." And what I did was I heard what it was he wanted to convey. And I then wrote the speech. And it was all about the seasons of our life. And it was an inspirational speech. And, he'd gone through marriage, a highly successful career, and then he ignored his wife half the time. So guess what? He then had a highly successful divorce, which left him into the winter of his life because he lost his house and his children and everything else. And then I always remember the section about spring, where of rebirth, of time to start again if you want to really take into account how many seeds managed to make it through the winter. It always amazes me, right? How many things didn't, like, the most expensive rose bush, how many things didn't, and how many things did make it through the winter. And we had a couple of quite harsh winter days. But we've had some beautiful weather and some beautiful April showers, and it had me out in the garden, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Just want to let you know that Angela, for those of you who remember, she came on the broadcast last week. She went for her interview and did well enough that she now has a second face-to-face interview. She went through the written interview, then a face-to-face, and now she's about to go through her second face-to-face. And this time it will be with the VP of retail for the Fontainebleau Hotel in Vegas. So let's wish her lots of luck. And for those of you who go back a long way, tomorrow, I believe, is Boston Paul's birthday. So happy birthday to him. For those of you who've been following my dumpster diving, that's when the pandemic came, I bought a big freezer and I filled it with food of various sorts. And I promised myself that this year I would go as long as I possibly could without buying any meat, to force me to dumpster dive in that freezer, which you could actually store a couple of bodies in, to force me to go into there and get food out. And I'm pleased to tell you I'm now on week 15 and I still haven't bought. Now, did I eat steak this week? Yes. And the reason was not because I bought it, but because Benji bought me some. Unasked by me, but he just bought me a family pack of really good steak, and it was like this thick, typical Benji steaks, not the little Walmart size ones, the ones like this. It was just incredible. And so I am thoroughly enjoying them. Yeah, Benji is a joy to the world. He's certainly a joy to my world. I constantly give thanks for having met him. And by the way, I wanted to say something a little bit controversial, perhaps. But I hear of the passing of O.J. Simpson. And for those of you who remember, I think it was the start of binge watching. That's how I always remember it, right? We were not used to being glued to our television sets, except maybe for something like the moon landing. But, we weren't used. And if you think about it, O.J. Simpson, number one, the car chase had us binge watching, right? For how many of you watched the whole of that car chase? Once you realized it was on, and and it was just like, are the cops going to kill him, or what's going to happen? And then all those months and months of the trial, Yeah, Charlotte saying, I'm of the opinion that he got away with it. He got away with murder, both literally and figuratively. Yes, and the thing is this. I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but when I heard of his passing, I don't know about any of you, but my instant thought was he got to meet his maker. Justice will be done. Um, so yeah, and I thought for Ron Goldman's family, and it must be like it was like, okay, now they can exhale and get on with their lives. All right. And I know that his family is sad. Oh, interesting. Jody's saying, Sal, I had the same initial thought. Well, it's a feeling, isn't it? And that's why I wanted to just, I don't think it was good or bad. I just have enough faith, let me put it that way, to say, okay, you got to meet your maker, buddy. So we're clear. I don't have to hope about that anymore. It's done. Yeah, it's a gut feeling, isn't it, Charlotte? Yeah. And so, it's not, I didn't think I was being wicked. It's just, if you BS the world and you were able to buy the best representation in the world, and all credit, really, all credit to the lawyers that defended him, the whole team, all right, because to get away with that was incredible. And by the way, you remember the whole thing about the gloves? If the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. Do you remember that? I can't, hang on a second. Okay. I remember showing people. These aren't leather gloves, so they stretch, but leather gloves do not stretch, all right? Or they stretch very little. But here's what I showed people. I said, if you wanted to pretend that you couldn't fit into this glove, all right, all you do is you start going in, and as you go in, you spread your fingers. Now, if you remember, all the time you saw his hand like this, okay? All right, so you spread your fingers, and look at this. If I spread my fingers, how difficult is it for me to pull on this glove? And I'm only here at the moment. Get it? And that was the whole premise, wasn't it? If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And hey, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I knew exactly what they did, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Jonas was saying I saw a mock article that said the coffin doesn't fit, so he must stay alive. Yeah, and live that. But anyway, I just wanted to just get that out and make sure, because I thought probably I wasn't the only one. And as I can see, I wasn't. Hi, Jeannie. Yeah, Jeannie's saying some said that the blood actually shrank the glove. And he also stopped taking medicine for his arthritis, so his hand swelled. You didn't have to do it, all right? You do it yourselves, all right? I'm sure you've still got some winter gloves. You haven't put those away yet. Just do it. Just spread your fingers as you try to put on a glove. Start like this, but then as, just very surreptitiously start spreading them, and you'll only get about halfway in. Yeah, I remember when I saw it, I thought, I could do that. I know exactly how he did that. So I thought, here we go. Let's do the April showers thing. How many of you, when you heard about April showers, started to sing the song? And I'm not going to give you all of it, but here are the words for those of you who don't know. Though April showers may come your way, they bring the flowers that bloom in May. So if it's raining, have no regrets, because if it isn't raining, because if it isn't raining rain, it's raining violets. And when you see clouds upon the hills, you will still see the crowds of daffodils. So keep on looking for the bluebird and listening to his song whenever April showers come along. And Jonas is saying, Mama Sal's life hack, just in case you want to get away with murder. Wasn't my intent, but yes. Yeah, and Jonas is saying, I'm worried about what's in your freezer, Sal. As I said, it's big enough for two. You know, I'm actually want to tell you something. It's been amazing what I've been finding in there. So have any of you put your winter clothes away yet? I'm not that far. I'm beginning to bring the spring clothes out to add to the winter clothes, and I'm sort of moving the winter clothes to the left. What I do is, I put my clean clothes in on the right, and then at the beginning of each season, I see what's on the far left. All right, because two things. Number one, it's out of season, so I can pack it away. Or number two, if I haven't worn it for the past season, then that means I haven't worn it for a year, in which case I really don't need it. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I wore a winter scarf today due to the cold and rain. Yes, I believe on the East Coast you've had some pretty nasty weather. Let me just tell you that I have on my front garden, which gets more sun, I have daffodils and tulips and baby hyacinths all blooming. And you all know the colors. So it's, those beautiful colors that I've got here. And by the way, you remember those flowers that I made? I put some flourished wire on them, and I now have them in here so that I have flowers all spring. And that means I don't have to cut my display for my neighbors. I always say that my front garden is for the neighbors, and my back garden is for my kitchen. So it just looks so pretty. Another thing, how many of you watched the solar eclipse? And any feelings about it? It was interesting to me how many people didn't bother to put glasses on. I know a lot of people did, but it's still amazing. I think it was Jody that sent me a picture of a traffic jam where people stopped to watch it on the highway. And I'm thinking, so they peered out of their windshields and looked directly at a solar eclipse. Not smart. I'm presuming they didn't all have glasses. Now, I've got a tip for you. I won't be alive for the next solar eclipse, right? Because I think it's like 35 years away or something. I'm sure Jody will remind me. Anyway, I won't be alive for the next solar eclipse, but did you know if you want to see it and you haven't got the glasses, I didn't know this, but use a colander. Okay? I always think this is like my Lecter Hannibal mask. I didn't know that. Did you? And if you don't believe me, look it up. Okay? So if you're still alive or your grandchildren are alive or whatever, if you haven't got the glasses, just look at it through a colander. And there's something about the way the light will be split up that it will not harm you. Yeah, Jeannie was saying it was wonderful, all right? Her grandsons were outside with their class with special glasses. Yes, and, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. If you haven't seen it, you should, right? I actually have seen a couple of them. I've been quite lucky. So, yeah, 2044. I don't think I'm going to be around then. A good day isn't always perfect. It challenges you to release your potential and inspires you to appreciate the little amazing things in life. Honey Selector. Yeah. Oh, Jonas, you are on form today. That is awesome. So I want to say that I thought it was amazing. Did you feel it was worth the hype? You know, there was a lot of hype around it, and did you feel it was worth it? I was amazed. I don't know about you, how quickly it went across the US. It was like in an hour and a half. It started from Mexico and then left on the East Coast. That surprised me. I thought it would take longer than that. But anybody else surprised about that? Because I thought, oh my God, we're going to have the whole day just watching this solar eclipse hit every town. And the next thing I knew, it was leaving the East Coast. And I went, wow, that was quick. I want to tell you that the moment of totality did blow my mind. You know, when it actually does that and you've got the ring of fire sort of around the outside of it, to me, that was just like, wow. How can you not say wow? But you know what I thought about? That looks like a black hole. You know, that's what I was thinking. That looks like a black hole. So part of me goes, yeah, is it possible that a black hole could be a shadow? Anyway, I just thought I'd just say that. And the answer is no, because a black hole sucks things in, doesn't it? Have to do more research on that one. The best comment I heard, you know, I watched a lot of different commentators making comments about it. Okay, so hang on a second. Jeannie's saying, what I found interesting was the decision of many to sleep in their cars after traveling to their destination to see the eclipse. You mean they were still asleep when it happened? Yeah, everything was sold out, right? Along that path. I mean, you know, the hotel industry did very well out of it. Now, I was listening to this one person being interviewed, you know, a nerdy woman. She can't remember where she was a scientist from, but anyway, she said this, and it just blew my mind. It said, can you imagine in ancient times people asking, oh my gosh, what's happening? Do we need to make another sacrifice? You know, I don't know. You know, it just the way she said it. And I thought, yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine the ancients not knowing what it was and thinking the world had come to an end and there was no more sun. Um, and I can also imagine them saying, you know, do we need to make another sacrifice? You know, to me, I burst out laughing. It was a literal laugh out loud moment for me. And I thought, that deserves to go down in history. It was such a clever comment. Okay, Jeannie's saying about the people traveling in their cars. No, they traveled all the way down, and there was so much traffic they had to wait for hours. Yes, that's what Jody sent me as well. So yeah, sad, isn't it? But if they got to see it, I'm happy for them. So hope you all learned something today. All right, that you can look at it through a calendar. April prepares her green traffic light for the world, and the world thinks, let's go. How many of you get more energy in April? You know, it's like somebody plugged in your booster. William Shakespeare said, April has put a spirit of youth into everything. I've been out in the garden. Oh, I have some pictures for you. I thought I'd show you. I know some of you are interested in my thing. My peas are now that high. And they're on a balcony and they're about to drop down over the balcony. Then these are some of my lettuce seedlings. Now, these are lettuce seedlings in my tiered vegetable bed under green cloches. If you're wondering, what the heck is that, Sal? They're green cloches that are keeping the moisture around the seedlings to make sure they don't dry out or anything, but also protect them from the little bunny rabbits that are likely to try and have them for breakfast. And, as much as I like to be a delicatessen for bunny rabbits, not on my brand new seedlings. Go find somebody else's, It's bad enough with the worms finding them, So I hope that makes you smile. I'm just really pleased, I must say, that this is the first year. I know it sounds ridiculous. It's the first year I have managed to seed lettuce and it actually grew. Whether it grows any more than this, I don't know, but it actually does. Now, for the rest of you, I've got to show you something. If you want to see the wonder of nature, I put one little bit of a lettuce leaf in here, and look at that, it's growing a lettuce. It was just the leaf that I put in. Isn't that amazing? And my other lettuce I've taken outside already because it's growing so well. Oh. I just realized, if you guys are wondering what else has she got there, this is the bottom end of some celery. And look at the roots on there already. That's going to go in earth soon. And these are all carrot tops. Okay. Now, it won't regrow a carrot, but it will keep regrowing the carrot tops. Now, for those of you who are into improving your nutrition, carrot tops are very nutritious. So what I'm doing is I'm growing them and I am dehydrating them and then pulverizing them and putting them in with other things. So whenever I make a smoothie, all right, whenever I make a smoothie, I just put a teaspoon of mixed vegetables in my smoothie. It's vegetables and greens, all right? And, you just don't notice it, but it's just getting that much more into my nutrition. What did I do with my notes? Very important part of my life. Come back, notes. All right, so some of you heard that I signed in my local electricity supplier, did a little promo over the winter. And every now and then it would send you an email and said, tonight, try and reduce your electrical use between the hours of 4 and 8, for example. All right. Now, the first time it was really difficult because I'd never done that before. And so you got to think about the fact, you're obviously not going to cook at that time. You're going to not do any wash or dryer at that time. You're going to turn on, you got to be thinking about what heat sources have you got that are electrical. But the interesting thing was I got into a routine with it, all right, which is whenever it came through, I just went through the house and I disconnected a lot of things, my bug zappers. By the way, if any of you have got plants in the house and like them, get a bug zapper. I bought a second one this year. So I've got one in my dining room, which sort of does the whole of this area. And I've got one now in my craft room, which does the back end of the house. I am amazed how many bugs are in my house. And, if you don't have a bug zapper, you don't know. And they range from the occasional fly that got in when I opened the door to let the air in, or, the nuts that come in with the earth. And, it's just amazing. It's definitely not a waste of money, in my view. It just blows my mind every time I do it. However, going back to the electricity. So the first time was difficult. The second time, not so much at all. The second time, I find it really easy because I knew exactly what to do. Just, 15 minutes before the time, I went through on my way through the house and then came back and I had the system. I curled up on the couch with a blankie and gave myself permission to binge watch for 4 hours. And it made me $3. I know it's stupid, but I made near, I think I did 10 of them. So I made $30 just by not using electricity during those hours. And I took part in a survey. And what I said in the survey was, thank you for teaching me in a fun way. And thank you for rewarding me for learning. And, to me, I ended up some days reducing my electrical use by something like 40%. So it is possible to do. Now, I am on a year-long program as well that it also came out with, a year-long program to reduce my use of electricity by 10% over the year. I am already down 10%, and that's over the winter. So now it's a case of what am I going to do for the spring? Spring, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But what happens when it gets to summer, when this place gets up to 90 degrees if I don't put the air conditioner on? So I'm really interested. I've got blinds that I put down, but I'm really thinking, what do I do? I think I will just put the air conditioner to kick in like 5 degrees later and see what a difference that makes, if any. And actually catch up on the usage during the spring and the autumn. Does that make sense? And by the way, you will remember that I no longer heat my house with not underfloor, but what do you call it? Forced air heating. All right. My furnace broke and I decided not to replace it. So what I've done is I heated the whole house during the winter with my gas fireplace in my living room and then topped it up. Hang on. What I did is, and that gas fireplace kept the front end of the house pretty toasty. The only time I needed help in the center of the house was in the midst of winter. And what I did is I had one of these. Have you guys seen these little ceramics? I just put one of these in, and thermostatically controlled that it kept the temperature at 65 or more. All right. I think I actually put it up to 68 because it was so cold. So that, and then what happened was, as soon as the winter was over, or most of it, I found this wasn't kicking in anymore, so I just took it out. So that's all that I added. Am I making sense here? Now, in my bedroom, I have an oil-fired radiator in there. Had it for years. Really recommend it for heat source. And that's thermostatically controlled, but I did even better than that. I put it on a timer because I reckon, when do I want that bedroom to be at that temperature? Okay. And I noticed that during the day, even during the day, the heat from the front end of the house was getting back there and keeping it fairly nicely. So what I did is I put it on a timer that it only started thinking about thermostatically controlling that room round about 5 o'clock at night in the winter. And then it kept me nice and comfortable all night long if I needed it. All right. And then it turned itself off again in the morning when I was out of there. Makes sense? So that's how I did that part. And then in my bathroom, I also had one of these. And I've taken it out now because it's the ambient temperature in the house is keeping that bathroom warm enough. The sun is coming out enough to keep. That's the coldest room in the house. And so it's doing well. And just hold on 1 second. And so the second coldest room in the house is my studio, and I've just taken this out, and it's, without any heating at all. That's what the temperature is in Fahrenheit, 68.5. Or for those of you who speak the other language, it's 20 degrees Celsius. And that's no heating in there at all. So that's pretty good. And I will let you know as soon as this is adjusted what the temperature is in here at the moment. So I'm getting close to actually turning my my gas fireplace off, but it's actually on the lowest possible setting, and it is, nice in here. It's not too hot, believe you me. So what I wanted to challenge you and ask you was if you needed to reduce your electricity usage by 10%. It's expensive stuff, right? Can you think of, a couple of hours a week where you could curl up and turn everything off for just a couple of hours and just, live your life differently? And the trick is to do it during what I call the high consumption time, which is that 4 to 8 period, when people are cooking meals and doing laundry and everything else. The other thing is, how many of you run your dishwashers at night? If you really want to save a lot of electricity, do the wash at night and then dry. Hi, Sandy. And then dry it in the morning. You know what I mean? It's just like, or I haven't got to putting my clothes out on a line. How many of you remember those days? Oh, the clothes smelled so good, didn't they? But then you had to iron them to soften them up. So I'm not sure that I want to go back. But how about you only half dry them with the dryer? I now dry mine and then hang them for the last 12 hours. I sort of don't worry about them being super dry. I just hang them up in my shower. I've got my shower door has a very substantial rail on it because it's solid glass that's holding them there. And then I just, let them spend overnight in there. And by the morning, everything is done. All right. So Sandy's saying, I only run appliances after 7 o'clock at night or on weekends during the low rate. Yes, very smart. Are you able to keep below the state? I don't know whether it's the same in the States. Jody will probably let us know. Jody, do you have a stage 1 and stage 2 system? In Canada, we do, which is, if you keep within stage 1, you get a certain rate. If you go above it, the rate goes up. Do you have that system in the States? I'm managing to keep mine just about on stage 1 now, and I wasn't before, so I was quite pleased about that. That's what I said when in the survey. I actually found it interesting that I got interested in my usage at a whole different level. And by the way, if I manage to get my usage down 10% over the year, they will give me another $100 over and above the money they've already paid me as a credit. So do you think it's worth it to get $100 for reducing your usage by 10%? Yes, I do. Because what it teaches you is turn off the damn light, people. Turn it off. Now, last week I showed you that whole thing about interesting. So Sandy is saying we do run computers and other things during the other tiers, but laundry and dishwasher only after 7. I put my dishwasher on the last thing at night. All right. So Jody's saying the peak time in New Hampshire is 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm not sure what the percentage discount is for off-peak usage. I believe it varies. Yeah. So just think about that. It might save quite a bit on your electricity bill. The other thing, it didn't happen every day. All right. You only had to do it like once a week. And what it taught you was pre-think about what you're going to eat. All right. They wanted you not to use the oven, but use the air fryer. Well, guess what? I've been doing that for how many years now, people? 2? Yeah, I've had this thing on. I've lived here for 4 years. I think I've turned that on twice in 4 years, and that's when I had company. And basically, I used it as a giant size keep the food warmer, right? Because I do all my cooking on that thing, in that thing, and it's not only healthier, it also is so much faster, and it's yeah, no end, and definitely not a waste of money. And also, it saves so much. Yeah, Jody's saying our air fryer has been the best purchase we've made in many years. I feel the same way. So think about that, though. Do you understand? So just 1 day a week, do not use any of the big appliances during those hours. See if you can do it. So make it a game and give yourself a reward. Now, I want to let you know that last week I was talking about Donald Trump's stock. And I didn't check this morning, just before I came onto the broadcast, so I don't know what it finalized at today. But I do know that when I last checked it, it was down to 32.15. Now, you remember last week I showed you that it went all the way up here, right? It went like this, and then it tumbled. And if you remember, it tumbled all the way to here. That was last Friday. It was at 42.130. Today, people, it is at 32.15. It's below here. And he's losing millions on that for sure. Okay, so I got to keep track of it because it's interesting to me. When you think that the stock opened at 70.90, 7090, and then plummeted. Yeah, some people made money in that opening, but boy, I want to tell you, then they just sold off and took their money and ran. Yeah, Jody's saying, I think we've used our oven 4 times in a year and a half. Yep. And that's the whole thing, right? So, and obviously, if you have a family of 4 or 5, you're using your oven. But for those of us who are single, or maybe just 2 people in a household, it's amazing what you can do with that little thing. All right. Right. Here's my tip for the day, and it's about charging cables. How many of you have had this problem where, hang on a second, let me get the other one first, where you've got a perfectly good, healthy cable, but this bit started to come apart, this bit here. Anybody relate to that? So what I did was, the next time I bought cable, I bought an offset one, all right, in the hope that it would stop that. Guess what? Lasted longer, but did the same thing. Okay. Now then, would you like the answer? Dum 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 dum. Okay, so here's your brand new cable that you were forced to buy. Okay, got it? And this is the end that's going to go into your phone. Take a rubber band, elastic, whatever you call it, loop it like this. Mrs. MacGyver moment, Jody. I worked it out. And it works. So nothing has got that sharp angle to it. Now, it's up to you how big, I didn't tighten that up enough, but you get the idea, right? Now, if you don't believe me, try it. And so now I've bought new cables, and they all look like this now. We'll see how long they last. The other thing, hack number 3 or 4 for today. This little baggie of elastic bands, okay, I did not buy. These are all elastic bands that came with something that I got from the grocery store. So these, I want to tell you, buy asparagus because they send really good elastic bands with asparagus, right? But the rest of them all came with other things that I bought at the grocery store, right? So when they do the delivery, I don't throw the elastic bands away, I keep them. And I'm never short of elastic bands. Yeah, Jody's saying I always save the asparagus bands as well. Yeah, you know, sort of, oh. Jody, you know these milk jugs we get, the Fair Life, whatever it's called, okay? They make really good containers for the fridge to put your asparagus in or long carrots in or whatever. I've started repurposing them. In fact, I'm using them all over the place for different things. They're quite useful. Yeah, you know something Jody's saying? A total animal. We buy the bands and get the asparagus for free. Yeah, you know, I feel the same way. It's when just like I buy asparagus so I can get those bands. Yeah. But I thought I'd just mention that about the cables because I thought if I get frustrated by it, the chances are some of you do too. So let me see what else I've got for you here. I don't know about any of you, but it was time for my credit card to get renewed. Now, talk about April showers, all right? Good news and bad news about having a new credit card. The good news is it looks so nice and clean. The bad news is you just don't realize how many things you pay by credit card and that you have it stored so that you don't have to think how many things you pay by credit card. So I thought I knew the list, right? And in fact, for a couple of months, being who I am, you know, I think forward. I've been writing down the list of the ones I'm going to need to change. And I had about 6 or 8 on that list. I was quite proud of myself. No way. No way. 6 or 8 did not do it. I'm still getting the odd email that says your credit card is about to expire. Please, you know, update your credit card information. Going, how did I miss that one? But the good news about this is I am certain there are some that are going to come up where I'm going to rethink, do I want it for another year? And the answer will be no. And that's fine. I just don't bother to redo the credit card. So that's a good one. Now then, how many of you have seen those ads or saw them, because they're not going around anymore, I think, of Ryan Reynolds and the Mint, what do you call it? Internet provider, Mint, M-I-N-T. Mint Mobile. Thank you, Jonas. Okay, how many of you saw those ads and thought, what the heck is he doing? All right. Would you like to know what he was doing? He bought into that stock because he obviously thought it was a good idea and promoted it, which made it a really good idea that he spent his time and his being to promote it. He recently sold it to T-Mobile. How much do you think they sold it for? Have a guess. Please don't cheat. Just have a guess. Dum, 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 dum. And, you know, it wasn't around very long before they sold it, right? Oh, 10, Jonas is saying 10 million. Okay. Are you ready, Jonas? 350 million. Do you think it was worth Ryan Reynolds just promoting it for the year that he did, or 2 years, whatever? Yeah, wow. That's what I went. Now, do you know he also bought into a gin company, GIN, yeah, right? And he recently sold that to a major producer and made 610 million. You see, so being an influencer, the payday isn't just that you get paid. The payday is if you have shares in the company, you can get a really, really big return. Think about Nike and Air Jordan, right? And that was the whole thing in the movie that Jordan's mom said, we'll go with Nike, who was unheard of, basically, just an absolute baby at the business when they went in with them, said, we will come with you. But we want a piece of the action that every shoe that you sell with Michael Jordan's name on it, every Air Jordan shoe, we will get a percentage of it. And that had never been done before with athletes. And needless to say, Nike thought, well, how many will we sell? Yeah, really. You know. Here's the other thing you have to think about. 10% of nothing is nothing. I'm not sure how many multi-million shoes they have sold, or how many millions of shoes they've sold. But 10% of millions is a lot of money. And so you got to think about that. That's what Walton worked out with Walmart, all right? Which was if he could drop the price and thereby outsell everybody else, he would actually make money. The profit would not be in the single item, it would be in the volume, all right? And the same thing with dollar stores, all right? They worked out that they could do that. So I thought that was incredible. How many of you going, wow, with Ryan Reynolds? Didn't just do it once, he did it twice. By the way, who's the other expert at that? George Clooney. All right. George Clooney turned down 25 million, I think it was, to appear in some ad because he didn't like them very much. You know, imagine being able to turn down 25 million. It's like, no, thanks very much. Nice offer. It was with an airline in a country that he didn't like their ethics. And you go, wow. Isn't that amazing? All right, now then, just to let you know, I am very excited. I was telling Jody about this. Okay, so here's it. Jody's saying Forbes recently reported that the companies Ryan Reynolds owns or has sold are or were worth roughly 14 billion. Now that's called investing. Right? And George Clooney is excellent at that. What does George Clooney do? He buys really nice properties, in Italy and bought a private island on the Thames in England with his own castle on it. And you look at it and you go, okay, fine. Jody's saying Ryan gets to buy the good orange juice. Yeah, the brand name stuff. Because we know, quite honestly, 9 times out of 10, the brand name stuff, I mean, the generic stuff is the same thing. Sometimes it isn't. All right? Sometimes it isn't. I haven't yet found a brand name that does Heinz ketchup. And if you found one, let me know. And not, off-brand, household name. But, in a lot of cases, it's the same stuff. So that's really good. Anyway, I wanted to, how many of you remember that I'm not paid to advertise this, people? This is just interest only. How many of you remember I got this do-it-yourself plant-based burger mix? What was it, about 6 weeks ago? Maybe 2 months? And what I did was I divided it up into portions like this. This turns into 3 ounces of meat, or fake meat, okay? And I was so excited because it tasted so good. And that I have been making shepherd's pie with it and making meatballs with it ever since. I don't even go dumpster diving. All you do is add a bit of water and a little bit of, I use a little bit of bacon fat in it, okay? But to my horror, when I read the fine print, occasionally I read things with my glasses on, and what did it say? It said, ingredients. The first ingredients was tenderized soy protein. I'm not meant to eat soy. I've had a mastectomy, and I'm not meant to eat soy. And my heart dropped. What am I going to do? But what do we know? In this day and age, we know that there are 1,001 recipes, and we've got Google. So I have now, I want to tell you what's in the one that I'm making, all right? I'm not ready to make it yet, and I'll explain to you why as I do it. First of all, it needs 2 cups of uncooked brown lentils. I've got red. Do I care? I've also got green. Lentils are lentils, people. All right, and I get to use up some lentils I haven't used. A whole can of sliced beetroot. Hang on 1 second. Because I wanted to keep this as a dry ingredient, I bought beetroot powder. Now, I'm not quite sure what the equivalent will be, but I'll be working on that, okay? Probably tells me here. By the way, it has very little in it. It's made from freeze-dried fresh beets. Beet powder is beautiful, vibrant pink color. That's what you have it for. There's an alarm going off. I know, I can't find it this week. Something's running out of battery. I will find it. Thank you for letting me know, Jeannie. Anyway, so you understand, I wanted to keep the mixture dry, so I bought the beetroot powder. The next thing, it's called for white mushrooms. So what I did was I bought the white mushrooms, and I am presently dehydrating them. Okay. They're nearly done. They'll go in for a little bit more today. All right. Thank you, Jeannie. But I also pulverized some. That's not it. Yeah. This is what pulverized mushrooms look like. So I'm just waiting for that to dry. Could probably take a few more days. Oops. Then what else did it call for? Half a medium onion. That's the next thing I'm going to dehydrate. What is an alarm shut off? Thank you for your help. Like an alarm on a watch or something? No longer beeping. Good. Okay. So Wait a minute, where are we? So half an onion. So I'm going to be dehydrating onion today. And then nutritional yeast. How many of you have heard of that and wondered what that's about? So I bought some in bulk, okay? And this stuff apparently even it makes things taste cheesy. Did you know that? Cheesy. So let me see here. But it's very good for you, right? The ingredient works as a vegan cheese substitute, meaning it adds cheesy flavor to foods. For those scaling back on cheese. So if you wanted to make mashed potatoes and make them taste cheesy, throw in some nutritional yeast, right? Just one tablespoon packs for flavor punch, instantly upping a delicious factor of pasta, popcorn. Popcorn's a good idea. Soups or whatever. Jody's saying it tastes like Parmesan. Okay, so good. All right, so going back to the list. Coconut flour, bought some. Flaxseed meal. I do buy flaxseed for my pitas. You know, I make my own sourdough. But I decided to get some flaxseed meal, so I've got that already. You know me, I buy all these things in advance, and when I've got all the ingredients bought, week by week, I buy a bit more. Then I will make it. Some smoked paprika, definitely got that. 1 to 2 teaspoons of fine sea salt, right? Got that. And then 3/4 of a teaspoon of cracked pepper, got that. So I reckon that by next week, for those of you who would like to see me do it, we could make our own do-it-yourself plant-based thing. And if you will remember, by the way, I have also dehydrated I'm working on it now. This is the stalks of, the stalk of a broccoli. You know, the florets. You love to eat those, but the stalks, I've dehydrated those. And I'm going to be adding that in. And also, this is mushed up tomato. I'm going to be adding that in. So exciting. So add to it the potato, not potato. What did I say? Not potatoes. No. The onion that I'm going to be doing it. So true. All right. So Jody's saying nutritional yeast is great for the immune system and boosts energy. Good. So is it worth it? For me, it is, because it's an experiment. Yeah, and I love experiments. But here's the thing. I think this cost me about $20, and I was horrified how expensive it was until I started to make it. And I realized that $20 made me like about 10 meals. So that was about $2 a meal. And I didn't think that was expensive. All right. And guess what? No cholesterol. For somebody who has high cholesterol, or used to, I'm working on seeing if I can reduce my cholesterol at the moment. So there we go. Little things, all right? It's about spring. These little changes make a great difference. Now, did any of you laugh when you heard that I took some dumbbells to the washroom so that while I'm sitting there, I can be building some body strength? Okay? Well, I've extended that a little bit. Don't do it every day, but every now and then I'll pick them up, and while I'm sitting there contemplating the day, I actually do some exercises. Okay? But here's what I thought. Wait a minute. I printed out some chair yoga and put it in a plastic sleeve. By the way, 2 different sorts. No, do it that way. I don't do it that way. I do it this way. Right, 2 different lots of chair yoga. Do I do it every day? No. But do I do it occasionally? Yeah. So every time I do it occasionally, do you understand? I I'm improving my flexibility. I think I told you last week that I was trying to do yoga, and I have a problem because I can't even do the basic sitting pose, all right? My right leg will do it, but the left leg, it definitely has a major problem. So my new experiment is, how long will it take me just to be able to do the basic sitting pose, where you put your legs like this? No, just like this, actually. I'm just trying to get like this first. And then I will try this one, where you do the full one. It's just like, I don't care if it takes me a year. That's what I'm working on. Why? You need that flexibility to put socks on. So if you don't know that, you lose that ability. I'm warning you now. For those of you who are a little younger than I am, at 76, I didn't think that I was going to lose the ability to do that, to put my socks on. And I'm getting there. I can put them on again now. For a while, I couldn't put my socks on without using a special little gizmo that I bought. But, it's like I will be able to do that. I'm determined to do it. The other thing I found out was I had great trouble with yoga because, getting up and down to the floor was a bit troublesome, very troublesome for me. So I went, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those things on my bed. The ones that you have to get down on the floor, I'm going to do them on my bed, see how I do. It's been quite interesting. And what I realize is that I have a lot of problem because my hamstrings and my calf muscles. Okay, wait a minute. So, some of you know this one. Which is the one here? Calf. The bottom leg, the bottom part of the leg is the calf muscle, right? Is that also the hamstring? No, hamstring's lower down. Anyway, all those muscles, I have not been using that motion in my feet enough. All right. I sleep like this. So I am, and if I do this with my feet, I sometimes create very uncomfortable pain in my body. Right. So I'm trying to learn to flex my feet at night, when I go to bed, and also to rotate them. Okay. And this is about, I can do this if I try. I can smell something burning. Okay, people, I'm going off the broadcast. I need to sort this out. Love you. I'll let you know that I'm fine. Bye for now.